Have you ever walked into your living room, turned on your television, and seen Skip Bayless talking nonstop about how much worse LeBron James is than Michael Jordan? He even thinks that Michael Jordan could beat LeBron right now. This is just common talk that happens in sports journalism. Hi, my name is Ian McNeese, and today I'm going to be talking about pursuing a career in sports journalism. I'm going to talk about what the day-to-day operations are in sports journalism. I'm going to talk about how you can have success in this, have a path to success in this field, as well as how journalists communicate through different channels and get all the information to different audiences. So with that, let's get into the day-to-day operations. There really is no typical day for the sports journalism world. Most of the time, it's focusing on your team and what you have to cover. If you are covering an NFL team, you should focus on the practices and what's happening day to day. And when a lot of times they're in reactionary mode, when I say that journalists are in reactionary mode, they are basically writing about what's happening right in front of them as it's happening. So if that happens more in-season content is where there's games going on, so you're focused on just the outcome of what's happening in the season and what's going on in the future, not what's going on in the future. Whereas in the off-season, that's where you're focused on the future. The off-season is more about being, you can be more creative and have outlets to make mock drafts and just put different players on different teams and just play around with what would happen. And so there's just more overall creativeness during the off season than during the season. And during the season, it's just all reactionary. This field, you have to have an extreme amount of grit. Most times, after you attend these events, you have to write a story and then post it online or post it on whatever platform you're doing it on, and then wake up the next morning at 8 a.m. and do it all again. It's just a continuous cycle, and it just takes a lot of hard work to be successful in this field. The second thing that we're going to be talking about is the path you have to take to be successful in sports journalism. In sports journalism, I learned that all of the people that I researched had gotten college degrees. It's very important to get your education, especially in nowadays, because pretty much everybody's it's not rare for people to go to college anymore. And then after you graduate, usually there's a period of just, you need to find any job and continue writing every day, because the only way you're going to go anywhere is getting better at writing and just covering as much news as you possibly can. Now, some people that are good examples of this are Bill Simmons, the ESPN columnist. He graduated from the College of Holy Cross in 1992, and then he became the Boston sports guy 5 years later in 97, where he started covering the Red Sox, the Bruins, the Celtics, and the other Boston team if there is one. And then after that, he became the lead senior columnist at ESPN, and today he's working on HBO doing some show. Another person that has taken a long route to becoming a successful sports journalist is John Clayton. He graduated from Duquesne University in 1976, and he landed a small writing job 4 years later, which really didn't pay much, but it got him to where he needed to be, because in 1986 he started covering the Seattle Seahawks for an extended amount of time. He did that for 10 years, and in 1996 he became the lead writer at ESPN for the NFL, and he held that for almost 20 years, I believe. And now Schefter has the job, but you can just tell that in this industry it takes a lot of time and just hard work to get to where you want to be, and it just takes a lot of sleepless nights. Now, the third thing I want to talk about in sports journalism is communicating through different channels and how important that is. it's extremely important to communicate on different platforms because you want to reach as big as an audience as you possibly can. And nowadays, it's getting easier and easier with the presence of social media. There's apps like Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, even YouTube, where people are uploading podcasts or just videos and content on what's happening in the sports world. And it's making it a lot easier to get more information out there. I know personally that many people use Twitter that like are our age as their main news source. And then I know that it's important to keep everything online because there's like the middle ages are starting to get good at finding stuff online, and then it's extremely important to keep it on newspapers so that the older folks see everything. So at this point, I just think one of the most important things is just getting the right it's important to put the right information out on the block, like on the platforms, on all platforms, because the last thing you want to do is put out the wrong information. I know I watched this video of Adam Schefter and how he put out this wrong trade and it was miserable and the fallback was miserable, so that's the number one rule in sports journalism. So today I talked about the day-to-day operations for sports journalists. I talked about the path you have to take to achieve success in this field, and I also talked about how the channels, how to communicate through different platforms, and how to get the right information out to a large audience. So thank you for your time. I hope you learned something of value today. I am losing my mind without sports currently, and I hope you have a good day.